Hi, this is Eddie Udo, recording on the 18th of July, 2017. I am reviewing the DSO 13A Drawing Fundamentals for Animators homework. This is Gary Monahan's work for week 6 gesture drawing or drawing the human body in movement. So Gary, yeah, your work's coming along really well. Um, Looking back on your previous posts, it looks like you're improving. And in the comments, you wrote that you were going to be researching different life drawing groups in Melbourne for yourself to go check out. I 100% completely recommend that. Absolutely, it's the best thing you could possibly do for learning the human figure. There's two parts to that. Part one is sort of the more mathematical, left-brained, studying from books and learning how to break down the human body into a construction form. Like, if you can draw the human body in its very simple sort of robotic form, that's really, really good. Understanding, how you can use spheres and cubes and cylinders to construct the body, right? That's really good. But people who only do that and don't practice life drawing, their work looks very stiff. Now, people who only do life drawing but never study the fundamentals, their work may be more kinetic, more full of movement, but the proportions are often wrong, and you have issues with certain parts of the anatomy. So if you combine both forms of study, then you get a much more balanced approach. Um, so yeah, don't skimp on the books learning, but also challenge yourself to do drawings in 5 minutes, in 3 minutes, and in 10-minute blocks, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Like how efficient can you be with your time to get down this drawing? So some problem areas that I am seeing are just not huge, just overall proportions. This guy's got his head's pretty big for his body, makes him look like he's got a sort of a child proportioned head, an adult body. Arms are a bit small. We've got problem areas here with the pelvis and how to this leg, big problem with that leg. A little bit of issues with the anatomy over here. Body's a bit long, this is quite nice. It's quite nice. But yeah, so in the future, if possible, post your reference images as well, so I can give you a much more accurate critique. But I've found, I just did a little bit of research, and this is the sort of a similar pose that you're having issues with. So we'll work with this sort of thing here. So what I'm seeing is this issue connecting, the knee to the back of the leg to the bottom of the leg, right? So how I sort of see this is I see the leg as, let's have a look. I see the knee joint as a sphere, and then the part of the leg is a cylinder, right? And then the bottom part of the leg is also a cylinder, right? So you've got to be able, so for the leg, you've got to be able to connect cylinder to a sphere to another cylinder. and that's how we construct the light. And the foot is like can be considered sort of kind of cube-like. But yeah. So over here, what I'm seeing when I'm doing what I see in my mind, I'll do it step by step. So I'll do the back. I'll cover this back leg area. So this is a sphere. This is a cylinder in extreme perspective, right? Coming way towards us. So here's this is flat. This is outside. Right? That's one cylinder. Then we're going to attach this is a sphere, which is the knee. Right? See, so we're touching the cylinder to a sphere. And then we gotta have the cylinder going back in space, going backwards. Like that, which is this one here. So here we've got cylinder connected to a sphere, connected to another cylinder. Right? Here, sphere, cylinder, another cylinder. Also, I find it like helpful to, okay, so when you're drawing, sometimes you would, if you're doing it in construction, if you're constructing the body out, you would be tempted to go, okay, cylinder, right here, it's tempted to go cylinder, sphere, cylinder, right? So 1, 2, 3. Sometimes I find in extreme circumstances like this, right, when we're not really sure like what's going on, I find it easier to start with the knee, right, which would be the connecting joint, right? So I start off there, and then I will put in the back cylinder, and then the other one, right? So I'm going 1, 2, 3. For instance, yeah, same thing with the hand, right? You know, you'd be tempted to go, okay, I'll just draw that part of the arm, and then I'm going to draw part of the arm, and then I'm going to do the hand. Sort of thing, right? But sometimes, if you know where, like I know my shoulder starts here, I know I've got to hit the elbow there, so I'll draw that, draw the start, and then where it ends, and then draw the connecting tissue. Just another way. I think I found it can be helpful in some cases where you've got a lot of foreshortening going on to sort of, yeah, like got my head, my neck, got my hero coming out like that. Let's say I want his arm. I want his arm to chest. I want my arm to come out somewhere here. You know, I know my shoulder starts here. I can say I want my, let's say I want, I can start off with where it ends, right? Like this is going to be his fist. And then I can say, okay, cool, then I'll put in the connector joint, then I connect it. Yeah, so sometimes it can be easier to work in a different sequence. So for you, again, I don't have your original image, but maybe, you know, start with the knee. And with that sphere, then bring it back with the leg underneath. You know, go that way. Alright, next. Oh yeah, looking at reference for this archer. There's something going on with you'll notice with the pectoral muscles. Okay, so the pectoral muscles, they connect to the your shoulders, and they actually wrap around. They actually connect to your shoulders there, right? So when you lift up your arm, let's do. So at sitting, so normally, you know, arms like this, cool. When you raise your arm, the muscle goes up. Right? So it actually goes around, it actually wraps around that. So for here, you've got that muscle needs to go around. Yeah. And then with the arm, it's just a little bumpy and weird. So I think maybe just pay a little closer attention to what's going on there. Oh, it said only 5-minute sketch. Okay. Feel free to take, if you're doing Pixel Lovely, feel free to pause it, take your time, that sort of thing, you know. If a pose is too weird, too strange, and requires a bit more like focus and study. That sort of. don't like it. We dealt with that guy. The other guy. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening here, but again, remember that the shoulder goes. Yeah, let's see. This guy. Oh, it's just his arms are a bit small. But I'll show you how I think about it. So sphere for the shoulder, next to cylinder. If the cylinder is kind of going back in space, like it's going backwards in space, then it gets thinner there. So hands on there. Just his arms feel a bit short. Yeah, but I would need your reference image. The arms look a bit short. The head could be a little smaller, but it's not bad. Head just a little bit smaller. It's so small, but it's something if you notice, just remember that that the face inside profile remember there is a bit of gap between the side of the face, right? There's going to be that gap. A lot of people will draw, the eye is really close, like you gotta give it a bit of gap for it to look natural, you know? I don't know, I'm not sure if you were doing it. It's a very small image there, but I just, you need a little bit of gap. What else? This guy. Again, I couldn't find that much reference. This guy. Yeah, I just spent a little bit more time on the muscles, like this sort of area looks a bit off. To be fair, the anatomy of the back side is really weird. But let's have a look. Excuse me. Gosh. Yeah, let's have a look. It seems, the way you've drawn it, it looks a little bit like this part of the arm is coming like towards us, and then it's going sideways. Like, I'm not quite sure, like, if this is going, like, it looks like it's popping back. It's going out at us. not sure. Obviously I don't have the reference, but yeah, I definitely need the reference. Your specific reference to get this right. But something like that. The back could be a little bit shorter. Maybe. That was a little wider. Yeah, just minor little things with proportion. But you're doing well. You're doing well. Again, with the shading, remember, well, I mean, I've only just explained shading to you in the previous video, but yeah, you know, just you try to, again, shade with the flow. What else? Yeah, okay. This arm. Get some reference. Okay. When our arms become our hands, when our legs become our feet, the human body is always like tapering and getting thinner at these points. So you'll see that the hand always gets like it's going inward and it gets thinner at that point. Same thing over here, we're going inwards and getting thinner at that point, right? So when you're drawing hands and all this sort of stuff, hands and legs, remember that the cylinder gets thinner at one end before becoming, you know, the hand. Right? Same thing with our legs. You're getting thinner here. So you're doing the leg, well, actually all the way throughout the leg. Gets thinner throughout, right? Leg tapers inward there, tapers inward there. So don't forget those little subtleties, you know? And you have, you know, the muscles, the shin, ankle. But yeah, so I can see that doing it a little. Yep, doing it a little bit there. Not so much over here. Over here it's getting a bit weird. Just pay attention. Yeah, pay attention over here. You know, so we've got the muscle going over to there. Remember that muscle that arches around? That muscle goes into there. We already talked about that. That muscle goes into there. But yeah, your work's improving. Again, you make sure, the eye, you gotta have a little bit of space. But yeah, really good effort. And yeah, keep up the good work. If anything I've said here doesn't make sense or you need some clarification, just let me know. Okay.